Welcome back to Cindy's Library, and today we are going to talk about what I read in the first half of March, since we haven't talked about that yet. Last 2 weeks have been very busy, but we are here and we've got some reading done, which is all good. To start with, Tom's Midnight Garden by Phillippa Pierce. So we have Tom. He is sent from his home to his aunt and uncle's, not too far away, but not happy about it. I think it's summer break. This is not how he planned to spend his summer break. But his brother got, I think it was the measles, so he has to be elsewhere long as his brother is sick and contagious. So he goes to his aunt and uncle, not sure what he's going to do there. It's not really set up for children that much. But he finds, there's a grandfather clock in the main area downstairs that everyone kind of enters through. It's a large old house divided now off into different flats. And the grandfather clock in the entrance, he hears it strike 13 in the middle of the night. And he goes and investigates and opens, I guess we'd call it basically the back door. It enters into a most wonderful garden, but it's not there when he looks the next morning. But at the mysterious 13th hour, Tom keeps exploring and falling in love with the garden. The people there generally don't seem to be able to, they don't seem to realize he's there, except for a little girl named Hattie. And of course, he becomes friends with Hattie, and things go on from there. Wasn't entirely sure about it at first, but by the end, I loved it. So glad I read Tom's Midnight Garden. Then I also, I read this for middle grade March. We'll say this is the one with flowers on the cover. Yeah, we'll count that for that. Read The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. This is the group read for middle grade March. Love it. This is the story of Mary Lennox. She grew up in India, rather neglected by her parents, even if physically she had everything she needed. Spoiled by the servants, always getting her way. But when, I forget what disease it was, very bad disease, swept through the area, Mary ends up the only one alive. And so she is sent to her uncle's place back in England, up in Yorkshire. A mysterious big old house with secrets. And Mary, who is rather contrary, at least to begin with, she ends up finding their secrets and being determined she is going to find out what those secrets are, including a mysterious garden. I also read the Manga Classics version of Anne of Green Gables. So adorable. And most of the dialogue and thought bubbles are taken directly from the book. So glad I finally finished reading this. I read The Rock of Our Redeemer, Facing the Future with Faith, Hope, and Power by Elder David A. Bednar. Nothing groundbreaking, but good reminders about the necessity for building our rock on our Redeemer and various ways to do that. I also read The Simple Faith of Mr. Rogers, Spiritual Insights from the World's Most Beloved Neighbor by Amy Hollingsworth. So this isn't a strict biography. What Amy does is she shares observations and experiences she had after she met Fred Rogers. I think it was in the 80s, something like that. And what they reveal about his spiritual life and how that affected him. And I guess it would be even more consistent to say religious life. I also read C.S. Lewis, An Experiment in Criticism. Oh, this is his work on how to be a literary critic, basically. And what it boils down to, well, he goes a lot into various definitions about what different things mean and how that relates to being a literary critic. But in the end, the necessity of generosity. I also love what he has here at the end. But in reading great literature, I become 1,000 men and yet remain myself. Like the night sky in the Greek poem, I see with a myriad eyes, but it is still I who see. Here, as in worship, in love, in moral action, and in knowing, I transcend myself, and am never more myself than when I do. One other thing I need to mention about this, he does this not from the perspective of whether a book is good or bad, but he starts from the perspective of whether the reading is good or bad. Hence the necessity for generosity, giving the author to make the chance to fully make their argument before judging if you are going to allow them to make their argument at all. I also read The Seven Dial Mystery. We are back at Chimneys. There is a party, or at least a weekend at Chimneys. Bunch of young people. Chimneys at the beginning is tenanted for a bit, but then the original owners come back. But the important thing is this party. One of the young people, he seems to never be able to wake up early. He has been seen before noon, but not that much before noon. And so his companions, they all decide to prank him / help them by each getting an alarm clock and set them at slightly different times, but still fairly early in the morning to make him wake up. Great idea for a joke. Only one thing. He is late again the next day. And it turns out that he actually has died before the alarms went off. At first, the police think it might be suicide. After all, there was some sort of drug by him. But the more that are heroine talks about Jimmy. Well, Jimmy is very involved in investigating, but Bundle, that's right, the intrepid young lady Bundle. They want to get to the bottom of this. And they also have a bit of help from Superintendent battle. So, can they solve the mystery and save the day? That is the question. Oh, I did forget to grab that, so one moment. Okay, we are just going to make sure we got everything. I did a separate video for the final volume of Cardcaptor Sakura, the clear arc, so I think that covers everything I did in the first half of March. So we've done some good middle grade reading here. That's lovely. Oh, I did forget something. Little House on the Prairie series. I think I'm going to count that for series for middle grade March. And I listened to the audiobook, which I heard, and they were right. It is wonderful. They have Paul playing music and singing at the parts where he does in the book, and it is just as charming as I remember when I was about 9 or 10 and was reading it over and over and over. So that was everything I have done so far for March. How's your March going? Are you participating in any challenges? I'd love to hear about it if you are. Thank you so much for stopping by. Truly do appreciate it. So until next time, I hope we all stay safe and healthy. And as always, happy reading.